Okay, this is a extension to the previous video which I created for the MetaMask. And in the previous video, what I did was I explained the animations for these sections which I created. And in today's video, I'm just going to do a small explanation and writing the code right in front of you for this animation on the hover effect which we have here. Previously, we had I explained you the code for the animation and the hover effect. For this section, when we hover over it, it kind of expands and all these stuff. Today, what we are going to do is I'll write the code with you for this animation. When we hover over it, it kind of shows up and everything kind of takes their different places. So let's go to the GitHub repo. First, we have to clone the repo. I'll provide this code in the description. For those of you who don't know myself, Rohan, I'm a remote software developer and a freelance developer. I share codes for frontend that you can easily integrate in your React application and make your frontend look a lot better. So, without wasting any time, let's jump right into it. This code is provided in the description. You can check it out. I have copied this code and I'm going to clone it into my local repository. One of my friends suggested this to rather than just explaining the video. I would I should explain it so that it will be much better for the developers who are writing the code with me. So let's do it. Let's install every packages that are there. So the code which I have provided is the code for the updates that I showed you in the previous video. Today we are going to do a small animation on that code. If you want, you can check it out, the previous video. The link is in the description, the same code. And when we run it, we have first is the loading animation, which is this one. And after that, when we scroll down, we have this card effect. And then this is the initial part. The final uh, thing that will be shown to you will be looking something like this. Sorry. When you hover over it, it will kind of jump into their original places. And yeah, it kind of, all right, let's see. Okay, let's create that part here only. Okay, in the code which you cloned it right now, what you have to do is go into the components, and then you have one file named trade NFT card. It's kind of commented for now. What I'll do is I'll uncomment it, and instead of, in fact, I'll remove everything. And first, what I'll do is I'll create the complete section which you see here on the right side. So how you are going to create that, I'll show you. So first, what we have to do is we have to create a div inside. First, let's create a div, right? And if you remember, I'll show you what the original and the final outcome of the project looks like, and then we'll move accordingly. Let's place it here. This is the final outcome, right? And when we hover over it, so both of this and this are same structure wise, else what's different is their animation and their colors. So let's change. In fact, what you can do is just go to buy sell card and copy this directly and paste it here. And instead of this color, you can change it to the color which is here at the moment. And what is it? You can check it. The color is something like this. You can just copy it, which I'm writing it down. E5 FEC3. This is the color for the background. Let's see if it gets applied. Yes, it does, but it kind of enlarges. We see we have here this outline also. Let's remove that. Going to the card section. Here we have outline. Let's remove it. And then let's change the complete names and everything of this. Let's name it green card. And then for this subtitle instead, let's name it trade title. And we have here something like collect and trade NFTs. Let's write it down. Collect and trade. After that we had a BRN NFTs. Cool. Now instead of the images which is pay USDT, ETH and USDC, we have this NFT cards. This what do we say? These images are already provided by the name of NFT1, NFT2. You can just download it, import NF. Like if you update your latest get the cloned repository which you have copied, you can directly get these images. It is already present there. From assets slash NFT1, NFT2, all of them are already there. Let's take all of them. It's total 5, I guess. All right. Just keep writing with me. Okay, and now what you have to do, instead of ETH and USDC images, you need to include those NFT images which are there here. These 1, 2 and 3. Let's use 3 of them first as it is shown. So you can copy this directly by what I have written here at the moment. See, first is NFT2 which I have used, and the bottom position I have kept as 0. It's absolute positioning inside the div container. And then we have the height and width defined here, and I've rotated it a bit because it looks something like this here. The NFT, all of them are kind of tilted, and here it is. It looks kind of similar to what we have it here. And what we can see is it does not like comes out of the green screen which is already there. So in order to do that, you need to keep overflow as hidden instead of showing it. Now it should not come. Yeah, it does not. It kind of shows up into this, but it won't do now. I'll show you why it goes there. So instead of naming it as like this, what we can do is, instead of that, go to the card section, make it similar to this one. Then it will be more similar to what we want it to be, right? It looks similar to an extent. Now this collect and trade NFT, it has a different color, right? I'll show you what color it is and we can add it directly. This is not white, instead it is kind of dark green. which is text. Let me see what color it is. Just copy the code which I'm writing right now. You can either create dark green named CSS code here only inside the app, the globals. You can instead create a variable and directly use it. That's a more preferable method of doing it, but here at the moment I'm doing it in a much more simpler way. So the color has been given, and now we have to make it more bold. Text as size of 2xl, font bold, and what else? The line height should be zero point 0.8 or something, or 8.5. Cool. Oh, it's already there. All right, this is what it is. This, and initially this never, or whatever that is, browse mint and repeat. Browse mint and repeat. Let's add a full stop here also. Okay, now we have a rough structure of what we are building. So it kind of looks same, but not really. The text is not this color, instead it's the same as the above one. It's not white, and initially the opacity is 0. Cool. Need to refresh it maybe. Let's see. Yep, so it looks similar. Now need to add the animations. Let's add the animation, the main part. Let's create a animation file inside the animation section, the folder named animation. We already have one file, nft hover. It's a kind of, the reason why it is already created, it is because it is similar, it was going to be similar to the animations in the purple card. It was going to be similar, but since the images are different, you need to remove everything. I'll write it down video. Let's do it. So before starting this, let's write the animation with me. First we are going to import the GSAP and then observer plugin, because we are going to use the observer plugins hover kind of interaction thing, not all but observer, because we are going to use it as a plugin. Let's create the original function for animation, which could be named the same as the file name, card hover animation. Okay, inside this what we are going to do is we will first register the plugin, register plugin, which will be observer. Cool. What's next? Next is we are going to create the observer, create its props inside observer plugin, where we define what exact function of hover or observer plugin we are going to use. We are going to use hover effect, right? So we have to use pointer as cursor equals pointer. First define the target. What is the target? The target is the card, this card. When we hover over the card, what happens is this animation take place. Wherever we hover from the top also, this animation will take place. From the bottom, this will take place. So this is the target, the green card. What name do we have? for this is this green card is the name. I hope it is visible. This green card is the name. So let's name that only. Then what we have to do is we have to define what type of animation we need. We need on hover, which will be pointer. There are other types if you see. Wait. Oh, it's not showing up. I don't know why. But there are other animations also that you can use. Drag and all of that kind of stuff which is needed. Now let's add the sum of the main section, which is on hover. When you hover, what kind of animation do you need? Should be written inside a function, a callback function. And not just this on hover, you need on hover end also. When the mouse or the cursor moves out of the designated segment, which is the target, if the cursor moves out of the target, what kind of animation you need, you have to define it inside on hover end. So both are callback functions. Let's define what we need to add inside on hover function. What exactly is it? When we hover, we need kind of expand this green card, and the top title should disappear. Next, the bottom title should appear, and this images, NFT images, should kind of pop into different directions. So just go through with me how to add this animation. Let's start from basic GSAP only. GSAP.to, this function defines which animation we need to implement. And for this animation, we are targeting first the first NFT, which is this, not this one, this NFT. So let's define it. The name of that is NFT1. That class name for that particular image is NFT1. And what kind of animation you need, you define it inside curly braces. Why I want to like move it, let's see what animation happens here. When we hover over it, it kind of moves up, and there's slight rotation, right? Along with that, there's one more thing that it kind of backs, like there's some easing into it. And along with that, there's one more thing, which is duration. Let's start from the basic one, which is when we hover, it kind of moves to the top along with some rotation. Let's write that animation first. First, when it moves up, let's write y direction. We have a movement of -300 in the upward. In the rotation part, it kind of rotates in the negative direction. Let's see. Yeah, it kind of rotates in the clockwise. So minus of 5 degrees kind of. And there is an easing, which is of back of out. Not in out, but out. Okay, this is easing, like it just not linearly goes up, it kind of jumps. So that kind of effect is done using ease. Next we have of duration of 0.5 seconds. Let's define other animations also, because we are only defining the on hover animation. We haven't defined on hover end, which means you have to place it back to the original position also, and that animation should be defined in on hover end. Let's define that also in the GSAP. T1 y should be as 0th position, and rotation should not be 0, because initially the NFT1 had a rotation of -10, right? -10 degrees. So you have to place it to the original position. Sorry, not y, but the rotation of -10 degrees. All right. And now one more thing. In this, not just the green cards NFT card just pops up, the height also increases. Let's add that also first. That will be looking much better then. So what we are going to do is gsap.to, and the green card which is there, its height should also increase. Let's add that animation first. Let's give it a height of like current heights 250 times more, not times but percentage wise, and duration 0. 0.5. Same. Ease will be very same, back dot n, or just keep it back. So the when we hover, right, it kind of pops up, but this height kind of gets fixed to 50% what we have defined. Why? Because we haven't added the on hover end. And how we're going to do it? gsap.to, let's add the same thing, just remove the height or change the height to 0 or 100, which was previously, right? On hover we had that height, and on hover end we have this height. Awesome. Let's see if it works. So when we hover, it kind of pops up, and when we hover down, it kind of comes down. Same now when we have to make this collect and trade NFT disappear. How we are going to do it? In the hover section, let's add similarly gsap.to, gsap.to, the title of it, which is this trade title, and let's position its, like, let's make the opacity as 0, and duration of zero point 0.5, and ease will be same as back. Cool. And same wise we have to add one more thing, which is the bottommost uh, text, which is this one, trade lower subtitle. Okay, let's add animation for that also. That should be visible when we hover over it. So similar to this, let's add opacity of trade, opacity of 1, and what's the name? Trade lower subtitle. And the opposite of this should happen when we hover out. How we are going to do it? Let's make the opacity to 1 and make this opacity to 0. Now let's refresh this again, expecting to find some similar result to the component. Let's see. When we hover, it kind of comes out. We hover down, it kind of disappears. Awesome. And now we have this also, these two text, I mean NFT cards. Similar approaches there. You can just copy it down. I'm providing you the code for NFT2 and NFT3. Positioning change. On hover you should have this. Okay, you can pause the video and copy this, and on hover down, on hover end, what you need to have is, I'm providing you the code because it's quite simple and kind of monotonous, as same as the NFT one. That's why I just copied it. Let's check if it is working fine and as expected. Then we'll move forward. Yep, it kind of does. So this is what we have built up until now today. And one of my good friends told me that instead of explaining the code, what my approach should be to write the code so that the viewers can also write it with me and they can learn it in a better way. So this was it for today, and I hope you find this video informative, and make sure to like and subscribe and follow for more and stay connected. Thank you.